was a lot of work for nothing.
Oh, shit. It's some dog shit. I don't know. So what are we going to talk about, man? What have you been doing?
What have I been doing? Working.
That's it.
And lots of other stuff, but mostly working.
You're a busy man.
Yeah. Well, that's real life for you. It's not the great quit for me.
No, none of that stuff yet. But what do you do? One day, maybe we can both retire.
As somebody was writing on the internet today, back in the 70s, it was the great quit. Then back in the 90s, it was the great quit. Everybody always wants to quit. Nobody ever wants to just go to work. There was no time called the great join, right?
No?
Not really. No one ever says, hey, everybody, let's all go to work. We all love work.
I guess not.
So the great quit is kind of a ridiculous idea.
So there was one in the 70s and the 90s.
Nobody called it that, though. It was just a bunch of people that just quit.
What did they do in the 90s? I don't remember this.
In the 90s, they started listening to Nirvana, and that was it.
Yeah, but all those people went to work. Who are we shitting here?
Well, eventually they went to work. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The great quit is just is a hoax thing. Like it's a spoof because no one can stay quit because it's called starving to death.
You know, I tried this out myself. I did. Yeah. Right after I turned 30, I was like, you know, I'm just going to go and move to a place that's like way cheaper, somewhere far away, and get a little house. And I'm going to get like Hobbit fat and just live off the mushrooms that grow in my yard. And I did that for a little while, and it was kind of fun. I wasn't okay with making vastly lower sums of money, so I wound up going back to work. And eventually, you know, you blow through all the money that you had saved to do your great quit, and then it runs out, and you're like, oh shit, I got to do a great work.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
And
the great quit is just a temporary stomping your feet on the ground kind of deal for most people.
Well, that's sad.
Some people pull it off.
Well, good for them.
I don't think everybody can.
Well, I think I'm going to do it when I'm like in my 60s. I'll be able to do it. The great quit. just your average guy great quit. One day it'll just be like, fuck it, I'm out. And you're like, no, you're retiring, dude. You're retiring. Right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, unfortunately, I'm not buying the great quit either, Tim. I don't think it's happening.
And not only that, but whatever happened to doing some good in the world, or, you know, being productive or having a purpose? Because if you just quit, then you have to find something to do, right?
You do.
I mean, some of the people, I guess, if they have something in mind that's going to, you know, provide them a living and give them purpose, that's great. So they better go for it. But if you don't have a purpose and you just quit, then you're a person that has no money and no purpose.
And that's tough.
That's terrible. That's like the worst place to put yourself in.
Well, we have been writing about the opposite of the great quit.
Yeah. Well, what would you call it besides Cautionary Tales?
Like a title wise, or just to describe it?
Describe it.
Well, I think
what did you think of my recent tagline that I came up with?
Now you got me on the spot because I'm bad at remembering stuff.
Okay. Well, it's introducing cautionary tales, often hilarious, stupidly shameless, sometimes disgusting, and always ridiculous average Joe stories.
I think that's appropriate to what we're doing. So, yeah, I don't know. We're doing it. So we're writing a book, and I'm still kind of fuzzy. Like, you know, I just do stuff. You told me to do this, and I'm doing it. Actually, I don't think you told me. We just started doing it.
That's how you get stuff. You do things.
Yeah, so we just started doing it. Right. And now we're like, I think we're almost done.
We're close. I have probably 3,000 more words to write.
Oh boy, I've got about 6, but I think I should be sorted by this coming weekend here. So I don't know. I don't know what the timeline's looking like or anything. You've published vastly more books than me because I'm at a fat goose egg 0 right now. And you've done like 90.
90 or 3.
Okay. You're not at Stephen King levels yet.
Not yet.
I was just checking. That was a test.
But considering I don't write Stephen King thickness books either, maybe a quarter of one Stephen King book. Well, we're meeting our timeline. Who cares about anybody else's? Our timeline was we're going to have the rough draft finished in 1 month.
Yeah.
We're damn near there, right?
We are damn near there.
And we're going to be on time because we had till the end of the month. So
perfect. We might even be early.
We're right on schedule. So then all we got to do is get all the other crap together. I guess we need a cover.
Yeah.
And some formatting.
Yeah.
And then a whole buttload of talking to people.
Yeah, I think so. We've got some people we've spoken to already. They seem kind of on board, and we've gotten the word out on Substack, which I'm just learning how to use. And I haven't had a whole, I don't know. I've been looking at it on my phone mostly, and I think that experience kind of sucks right now. Do you look at it on your phone?
I have looked at it on my phone. The thing is, Substack is a very bare bones site. I think that's the attraction to it. There's really nothing to it. It's just white space and words, right?
Okay.
And maybe a picture or two. So when you're looking at it on your phone and it looks simple, that's what people want.
I was unsure because I'm used to like the splashy nature of the internet these days. And something a little bit more simple, I guess, is where it's at. So I'm okay with it. We've been we've been dropping stories on there for the last couple weeks. Yours are a lot more fit for, I don't know, you've got a couple up there, and I think we're going to be putting one of mine up here shortly. But they're fun so far. It's been a fun exercise, Tim.
That's what we're going for. So much stuff on the internet. People pretend that it's got a meaning or a purpose, but in reality, it's entertainment. They're just entertaining themselves on this big ride we're on here.
That's right.
Right?
That's what I've been doing with this.
So why don't we just go straight up for entertainment? Screw the purpose.
Now, I've gotten a little bit of feedback about what we got so far. Some of the feedback has been pretty good. It's, you and I have kind of we're writing about stories and accounts that we've heard or experienced or a combination of both in the working away from home tradesman industry. And so people who have something to relate to that, they've gotten back to me about reading a couple of the ones that you posted so far, and the response has been pretty good. So I don't know. I'm pretty happy with how this is all kind of turning out. It's been fun for me to do because I haven't really, this year's been a bigger year for me for writing than it has been every other year in the past. So I can't complain about that. But yeah, it's just good to keep the ball rolling. So I don't know. What else can we hint at without giving out too much stuff? Read it. It's fun. It's Substack. How many poop stories do we have? I wrote one.
At least 4. Yeah, at least 4. Well, the coyote story was about poop even, right?
Yeah. I thought that I was going to write more than one poop story, but I only had one in me.
And here I thought I was only going to write one, and I had way more than that in me. So what do you know?
We've switched.
It was a good
brains.
purge. Yeah,
it was a good purge. I feel empty inside.
Yeah. Well, okay. So you might be listening to this and going, "What the heck is a Substack?" So let's cover that ground first.
Okay.
A Substack is a website where you can make a newsletter and then people can read it. So basically, we type stuff up, and then if you've subscribed to it, it'll end up in your email box. Or alternatively, you could go to the website and look at it there. That's basically it. Sounds kind of plain and boring, but the thing about it is with Substack, you get to pick what you get. For instance, if you were to choose our Cautionary Tales, then you know what's coming to your inbox instead of just some stupid spam or whatever. And then you don't have to worry about going on Facebook and getting distracted by all kinds of other junk because you already picked what you're going to get, right? I think that's the attraction to it. What do you think?
You're the third person. You're the first real person, person that I know who's talked to me about Substack. I've heard about it from 3 other people. I know that there's a couple of journalists and one writer in particular whose work I enjoy. that have moved over to there and are publishing works on there because it's a good platform. So it was just kind of odd that, not odd, but it was kind of cool that you mentioned it to me right around the same time. I just heard about it from two or three different other people. So I don't know. I think it's a good platform for people who like the written word, and I know people like to read stuff, stay informed. And for me, I haven't had a whole lot of chance to go exploring around on it. Most of the time that I've been sitting on the computer, it's been either working or writing these days. So I look forward to kind of after we get this all published and everything like that, just going on and looking and making a good profile and seeing what's out there and making my little stack for myself and just kind of doing the whole thing. But for what we got going on, I think it's pretty good.
Well, here's an example of somebody else's Substack, and this guy, he's big, way bigger than us, of course, right?
Mm-hmm.
What to read? John Warner is channeling the book gods. So his Substack is called the Biblio Oracle Recommends, a publication that explores books and reading with personalized weekly recommendations from the Oracle.
Oh,
So
nice.
basically, he finds books, he gives you a little preview, and this guy, he does a column in the Chicago Tribune about books and the life of reading. So he's slowly, like you mentioned, people are switching over from journalism to Substack, and they're just doing personalized articles.
You're your own editor, right? So you can
Yeah.
do what you want. It's a freedom platform here. So we're
So
using it.
this exactly. And Substack sends out, what to read, where they promote different newsletters. So they interviewed this guy, and they asked him a bunch of questions, and here's one of them. You're a self-described unrepentant book abandoner. At what point should a reader jump ship if they're just not into a book? And his answer is, honestly, there's no wrong time to abandon a book. And then he goes on to list his reasons why. If you're not having fun reading a book, ditch it. And I totally agree with this guy on this one.
What was the last book you ditched?
The last book I ditched so many books. That's the thing. I have a Amazon Prime account, so then you get unlimited free books of lower quality, right? Whatever books in the ebook store are on unlimited for Prime, you can read as many as you want, right? But the thing is, some of them are not the highest quality books, so I'll download one of those and start into it, and if I don't like it, I just get rid of it. So I couldn't even tell you the last book I. Let me look here. My phone is full of old titles that I didn't read, I'm sure.
The ones that you got like 17% through and it was just
Yeah,
too much of a good thing.
exactly. And here I say that, and Kindle has gotten rid of all the books that I didn't finish.
Oh, horseshit.
So there you go. It only saved the ones I liked, apparently.
I just ditched out on one here earlier this year. I was reading that series called The Book of the New Sun. And then the second book of it, I started reading it and I went, yeah, I can't do this right now. So I ditched out on that. But I intend to go back to it. But I did. I just totally waffled on that. It's hard sometimes to, just read all that. Like sometimes I think a person reads, I just read out of habit, which is really hard. Not really hard. What am I saying? It's not really hard. It's just one of those things where you're like, do you ever sit around and go, yeah, I'm just reading just to read something? And that's not a good reason to do something.
I want to, and then I'm part way into a book that gets pretty dry, and I guess I could give you one of those ones. Reiki Tumo is one of those Kindle Unlimited books,
That sounds
and that book, it's about Reiki or Reiki. I don't
Reiki.
know how to say that.
I don't know
An
what it is.
effective technique for health and happiness. It's an energy healing book where you learn how to channel energy.
Ah,
So, anyways, I thought that it would tell me something about Tumo or Tummo, Tummo, which is the practice of breathing to learn to regulate your body temperature, which is what Wim Hof, the Iceman, does, right?
mm-hmm.
And I thought, oh, look at this free book that'll teach me some breathing exercises that'll, make me tougher in the winter, because what Canadian doesn't need more cold resistance? So, anyway, I get 30 or 40 pages into this book, and they are not telling me anything of how to, there's no techniques. It's just telling you about the techniques that you would get if you go to one of their seminars.
Oh, I see. I
And I'm
see.
like, okay, enough of this book.
I'll put
The
that one
entire
in the "you
book,
sons of bitches" column.
yeah,
Hey.
the entire book was just a promo for their seminar, is what it
Oh,
was.
dirty pool.
Yeah,
Dirty pool.
yeah.
Well,
When all I figured, it's a breathing exercise. How hard would it be to just give it to me?
well, you got to. It's a pay to play thing. Breathing.
Yeah, it is. Don't you know it? Yeah. I should start up my own seminar. How to breathe like a badass.
How to breathe like a badass. Yeah, deep, man. Just deep and lots.
Deep and long
That could be a
and
story in our
square.
book. Yeah.
D- Hard, deep, and square.
How to breathe like a
But
badass.
and by square I mean 4 seconds out, hold for 2 seconds, or 4 seconds, 4 seconds in, hold for 4 seconds.
You'd have to maintain that though while being chased by a killer clown.
The reason I mention that is because square breathing is something that some Navy SEALs do to level their emotions.
Oh,
They'll
really?
breathe out, hold, breathe in, and hold for equal amounts, and it makes a square, right? And that'll affect your vagus nerve, which supposedly just calms you right down. And I've tried it, and it does. It makes you flatter than you would have been. And then that way, when somebody leaps out of the bush, you're ready to shoot them. That's what Navy SEALs use it for. But
You
as
ever
usual, we've squirreled down a strange rabbit hole.
we go down weird rabbit holes, yeah. Well, I'm reading a book right now that's really crazy. It's called Story of Your Life. Have you heard of this book?
No.
It's a book of short stories and this is by Ted Chiang. I hope I'm saying his last name right. He wrote the movie, well, he wrote the story that the movie Arrival was based on, and that's in this book. And there's some really interesting stories in there. If you like
Hmm.
your science fiction wonky, this is a good book to check out. I'm finishing this one. This one is not
It's
it's
not a
not
throwaway.
no sir. It's one I'm going to power through happily. The first story I didn't like so much, but the second one in there was really, really good. So I'm really happy with that story. And I'd love to see these made into movies, man. These would make really good movies. I know they've got. I actually looked it up before we started the podcast. They had, well, Arrival is one of them. I think they might have a couple more of them in development, but for a sci-fi lover, it's really good. You should check it out. You won't abandon it, I promise. If
Hmm.
you're looking, you got a lot. You got a lot on your plate, man.
Now, what's that one called?
It's called "Story of Your Life,"
Hmm.
but it's all short stories. Some of them came out. One of them came out in Omni magazine. Did you ever read Omni?
Yeah, I used to buy Omni magazines.
That was the good stuff. My dad used to get
Yeah.
that, and he liked all the futurism stuff that was in there. He'd be like, "We're gonna have flying cars," and we don't. I can't. I wish I could have I wish I had like a back stack of those where I could just kind of go through and see what all the wild stuff we were going to be doing was going to be. I remember there was one on. I think there was one article I read way back. This would have been in the late '80s about like vertical farming and farming inside your house and stuff. And now that's starting to
Hmm.
become a thing.
I checked into vertical farming not that long ago because it just kind of came up and it was interesting. And there's a company in Calgary that'll set you up. In fact, anywhere on earth, there's a company that you can hire that'll come in and set you up to be a vertical farmer, right?
Mm-hmm.
All the money in vertical farming is selling vertical farms, not in selling food. And that's because it's still more expensive in general to grow it that way than it would be in just a straight up greenhouse.
Oh,
So they mostly grow lettuce and herbs too. They're not much, they don't grow cabbages or anything like that.
so nothing that would really fill you up.
No, but they're working on it. There is a company that's growing strawberries now, but they're growing premium strawberries. Apparently they're better than any other strawberries. They're in the States. They're going for the high end market.
Well, I'll tell you something, man. If I was growing expensive vertical farm strawberries and I was putting them out to market and they were like, way harder to grow than regular strawberries, you'd bet your ass I'd be telling everybody on the planet this is the best tasting strawberry in your life. So I believe them because it has to be true.
one of the reasons that they're better is because they're probably more like wild strawberries,
You
which
think
means
so?
that yeah. Well, wild strawberries have 10 times the flavor than giant monster strawberries. They also can't be shipped. They don't keep. The benefit of those giants, mutant strawberries, is that they don't go bad as fast.
The big ones
Here we
don't,
are
but the
done.
smaller ones do.
Yeah.
Well, the thing with the big ones is you always get them and they're always kind of like they look good on the outside and then you bite into them and they're just like really fleshy and white and hard. And that's probably like that really thick, dense density to them. What the hell am I even talking about?
All that alien fiber.
what, what am I even talking about?
They're just fleshy.
Oh man. I kind of tried something similar in my house. I got this like aquarium light, and at nighttime we'd put it on in my kitchen, and we had like 3 or 4 different shelves where we were growing different stuff, herbs, I guess. And
Oh yeah.
it didn't work worth a shit. So now we have 2 potted herbs. We got a nice little basil plant and a nice little mint plant that we bought from the grocery store. So we bought the mint and we bought the basil, and then we just kind of like got the roots going. And then once the roots were going, we potted them and they seem to be doing just fine. That's my vertical farm. It's actually horizontal, which isn't vertical at all. What the hell am I even saying?
Vertical
No,
farming. If you're into it, we applaud you.
it's some kind of access farming.
They
Why
used to
or
call
is
it
that?
hydroponics.
Is that what it was called?
Well, yeah.
Here's an interesting scenario. Speaking of hydroponics, so there's kind of like a stigma around the whole hydroponics thing because now we're into this time right now where all the reasons that people were really, really into hydroponics, and there were 2 of them. Either you really like tomatoes or you really fucking like weed, right?
Yeah.
So now we're in this space where we don't really need, there aren't a whole lot of tomato growers, let's be honest. There was a lot of weed growers, but so they'd set up in these houses, tin foil on the windows, heat jacked up or whatever, lights on all night. They tap into the power supply, and then they get busted and raided. Now that house is sitting vacant. I was shopping for a house a few years ago. I saw this one, and it was a former grow operation, and they remediated it and everything. And it was like less than 5 years old. It had an unfinished basement, and it was like brand new. I was considering buying it because it was cheaper, but this person was like, hey, listen, don't buy a grow op house, even if it's nice, because I guess the law states that if that house was ever a grow op for infinity, you have to disclose that. And you can never not disclose it. So even if you didn't have any mold problems or anything like that, and this house was perfectly okay for the rest of its life, you'd still, like 1,000 years into the future, provided that the laws didn't change, you'd still have to disclose that and be like, yeah, this was a grow up in the year 2000. It's the year 3000 now, but you got to still tell people that. Would you ever move into a grow up house?
That might be a selling feature 30, 40 years from now. Historic site.
Yeah, but I mean that's the stigma, right? That was a thing. Like out of all the houses I looked at that day, that one was actually the nicest house, but I couldn't, I wanted to buy it, but they were like, "Don't buy it; it's a grow op," and so I didn't. I just didn't buy a house that day at all, and I just kept the one I'm living in now, thankfully.
It's not like somebody was murdered there, unless they were murdered because of the grow op.
Well, you don't even have to see. That's not something you'd have to say. Unless the person knew that someone was murdered there, but you could sell your house, your murder shack, and you wouldn't have to say, well, yeah, this is a total murder shack. You'd have to say if you had water in the basement.
Well, that's good, because in the aftermath of Dexter, there would have been a lot of houses that would be uninhabitable.
Yeah. Joe's Murder Shack. Come on down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Open house this weekend. Realtors leaving their cards on the counter at Joe's Murder Shack. What am I talking about? That's the theme of this show. What am I
Joe's
talking
Murder Shack. It's right beside Grumpy's Meat Wagon.
Oh, geez. Well, yeah, I don't know. What else have you been up to besides the writing? Have you endeavored into any pop culture media or anything like that?
We watched the first 3 episodes of the Wheel of Time show.
I know this. Everyone's watching this.
And most people are happy with it.
Are they?
Yeah. Most of the fans.
So I have
There's a
no frame of reference. I've never read this book.
it's a very complicated story. There's nothing simple about the books. There's quite a bit of stuff that I didn't know about Robert Jordan before this. I didn't know that he was in Vietnam and that a lot of his writing is based upon his experiences there.
Oh, really?
Just changed, obviously, to be fantasy instead of war.
So how many books are in the series?
There's 14 books. I believe he only lived long enough to complete the first 12. And then the last two were completed by drawing a blank, drawing a blank, drawing a blank. Anyways, they're completed by somebody else.
Okay. So similar to Dune.
Just a second. I'll find the guy's name. I should be able to remember it, but I can't. I've read all of his books as well.
Is it Kevin J. Anderson?
No. Brandon Sanderson.
Brandon Sanderson. I've heard of him.
Finished the last books. So Robert Jordan, his original name was James Oliver Rigney, but his pen name was Robert Jordan. The Wheel of Time was his main set of books that everybody knows about. But he also wrote some of the Conan the Barbarian novels.
Oh, really?
He was a helicopter gunner in Vietnam.
So he did some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be a tough job.
So it sounds like he published the first 11 out of 14 books, starting in 2004. And then the last one he published was in 2005. That's pretty fast. That can't be right. Oh, wait. 1990. Sorry. 1990 to 2005. And then Brandon Sanderson pulled his notes together and completed the last three.
Okay. So this is like kind of a very similar scenario to the Dune books. They had two left in the series. It ended with a cliffhanger. The writer died, and then sometime later, I don't know, this might be a little bit more reliable because I think the time gap in between might have been. And was Brandon Sanderson, were they friends?
I don't think they were friends. I don't know how they picked him. I read all of the books because one of my sons pestered me endlessly to read these books. And that's basically the only reason I read them, because, he had the books and he kept leaving them for me until eventually I succumbed to the pressure. So I recall the last three books being different and not necessarily as good. Yet again, very similar to your Dune ones, right? And that's just the way it is, because you're working with somebody else's material. So you're not going to match the same tone exactly.
Well, I think too, like the pressure might be on there. And I don't know anything about this one, but certainly for the Dune one, the pressures, or say Star Wars or Dune or whatever it is that you're kind of walking into someone else's creation. I think the pressure's there to end, especially if you're ending things, to have some sort of, to not disappoint on the ending, where I think if you're the original author, you're like, I don't give a shit what you think, and you type up whatever you want at the end of the day, right?
I kind of feel like maybe he didn't finish the books because he didn't know how to end it.
Oh, yeah?
You know what I mean? Well, he knew how it was supposed to end, but he didn't know how to get there, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So he might have painted himself not into a corner, but just like you're saying, I don't really care how this ends at this point. This has been going on for 11 books. Like, they're not thin books either. It's a fairly massive undertaking. So
he wrote some doorstops, did he?
Yeah, pretty much. The series on the TV, or on Amazon Prime, not a TV, I guess, is the cast is very multicultural, and in his books, women have a lot of power. Like, they're not to be walked on, let's say. So it has its people that are not for it. Let's just say that. Especially, I think they're not happy with the fact that there's so much variety of people in it. But most of the fans like it so far. So it's following the books pretty tight.
That's kind of a weird thing, because I think in a lot of cases I've heard the same kind of complaint about Dune. And to me, that's a really odd one. I mean, you're dealing with I don't really know. I can't speak to the Wheel of Time stories, but if it's anything like, I guess, Dune works, you're dealing with something that's in another world. When people are described, very few characters in Dune are described, or in a lot of books, and side characters or background characters or populations of people, they aren't really described, their looks or anything too much. Just the main people are. And that was something that, when I watched Dune, you gotta a culture of people living on the world in the year 10,000, and they're all kind of made up of a whole bunch of different kinds of looking people, which seemed pretty reasonable to me. And people like kind of complained about that aspect of it. It's weird to hear that stuff. Did they do any, like, I know in Dune they did one gender flip for a character, which worked fine for me. Did they do that in Wheel of Time?
Not that I know of yet, but what they did do is one of the characters was either married or shacked up where he wasn't in the book. And there was lots of romantic stuff going on that maybe wouldn't have been in the book.
Oh,
I haven't
okay.
read the book. I haven't read the first one in a long time, but they have updated it, maybe you would say, for modern times that way. Yeah, they did a few little changes like that, but the main points so far, without going into any spoilers, it's shot very well. Like it seems to be filmed very well.
I really like Rosamund Pike. She's in that, I believe. I don't know if she's like
Mhm.
the main person in it or whatever, but I've seen a few of her movies and she's always really, really good. So I just thought about giving it a watch based on her alone, because she hasn't done a whole lot of shitty shit. I think her last movie, I didn't really like it so much, but it wasn't because she was shitty in it. It was just because it was a weird
Mhm.
story, but she picks pretty good
No,
stuff or interesting things. So
so she is one of the main characters in the show. I don't know how you say her name, Moiraine. So she's one of the mains. I'm not familiar with most of the other actors. The one I know, I'd never seen him in anything before, Joshua Stradowski. He's
mhm.
Rand Althor. So now when I see this kid, because to me he's looks like he's 12, he makes me think back to episode one, I guess it would have been in Star Wars. We have a small boy who eventually becomes, the worst Jedi ever. Well, when
Yeah.
he's in his teenage years, this guy reminds me of that character, the same kind of attitude. And I don't really appreciate that. But that's just a little whiny and kind of reminiscent. His face looks kind of reminiscent too,
Okay.
to me. But maybe that's just me, right? So,
Yeah, I don't know. I might give that a shot. I've been putting the TV shows on a bit of a moratorium and have switched over to movie viewing. And I've had a pretty decent track record lately. Pretty decent. Tim, I broke my Marvel moratorium.
really.
Yeah, and I watched Shang-Chi, and
So, what did you think?
I didn't like it. I didn't like
You
it at
didn't
all.
like it?
No,
Hmm.
sir. I thought the guy was pretty good, but I thought all the jokes, like it was really jokey, and all the jokes didn't land for me. Like it was just all dumb jokes. I liked the fight scenes, and I kind of like having. I was a big Hong Kong cinema fan in the '90s, so having a couple
Mhm.
of the Hong Kong stars was kind of cool. But all the stuff that they did was kind of they've been in, Michelle Yeoh was in there, and she had the I don't know a scene that reminded me of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and it was just kind of a bummer. I was kind of goaded into watching it by my friend who also didn't like it. And then he wanted to see if I didn't like it. So I watched and I was like, yeah, I didn't like it. And I don't
Well,
think he
what a
poisoned the
setup.
well.
No, he didn't go, oh, this smells bad. Here, smell it.
He
It wasn't
did.
like that.
No, he totally did. And I fell for it. And then I was like, you're right. That shit stank. But no, I watched that. So I watched that one all by myself. But so before that,
Well,
I
maybe that was
watched,
part of the problem.
well, not seeing it with a crowd of people, maybe, but it was just, I don't know. To me, it was just kind of why the hell would they? Okay, so here's my main beef. Out of all the things, out of all the characters they could bring into this, they bring in the Mandarin, who is one of the worst received characters and worst received things in any of the Marvel movies from the shittiest period of the Marvel movies, which was Iron Man 2. And they bring this dumb guy back in, and he's so over the top dumb that he thinks that, like, dude, that joke where he was like, oh, all the apes in Planet of the Apes were like, I don't know how they taught them all how to ride horses. I was just dying
Mhm.
inside, like a little, it just didn't hit for me. It wasn't a funny joke. And they just keep, here's the dumb guy, and he made dumb guy jokes. Every joke was just kind of like, I don't know. I didn't like it. The abomination looked great, though. I liked that scene. That was cool. But that was it for me. I didn't like it. It was like a solid 3-star movie for me out of 5. So
Okay. Well, I would have put it at 3.2
Really?
out of 4.9.
We're not that far off, I guess. But before that, I watched Last Night in Soho, and that was stellar, dude. That was a really good show. If you're listening and you are looking for something good to watch, I recommend that one for sure. It's a good little bit of a time bending, mind bending thriller, ghost story sort of deal. Really good acting, really good script, great sets and world, I guess, like going back in time to the 60s was really well done. It felt like the 60s. It looked like the 60s. It felt like the 60s. I wasn't around for the 60s, so I can only, say that it made me feel like I was in the 60s. But it's a really cool show, and I really liked it. And then I watched another one that I think you'd like, Tim. It was a little bit on the nose, but I really liked the message of the story, and that was called Violet. And it was really good with Olivia Munn. And did you ever watch Family Ties?
Yes.
You remember Mallory from Family Ties?
Mm-hmm.
Justine Bateman. This is her directorial debut. This is the first movie that she directed. So I gave it a watch, and I thought it was pretty good. And my wife really liked it too. So we hit 3 for 3 there. And it was, and Army of Thieves. That was the other one. That was the first one that kicked off my good movie binge. We really enjoyed that one too. If you like Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead, Army of Thieves is better, I think. And I liked Army of the Dead, but I think this one actually kind of takes the whole formula and just does something a little bit better with it. That's what I've been up to.
So Violet really realizes that her entire life is built on fear-based decisions.
Yes.
Hmm.
This is Violet.
Interesting.
The premise of the movie is that she's this perceived to be a successful, I guess, like she's in film development or whatever. And if you take a look at her, she's successful. She's got it going on. She's got money and stuff like that. But inside her is like a little voice in her head, and it's Justin Theroux. And he's always telling her, like, you stupid piece of shit. And she starts to believe this sort of thing, right? And she's been having this guy live in her head rent free for her whole life sort of deal. So it's kind of about, I don't know. I like the message of it. It was good. It was kind of the way that it's kind of done visually is a little hokey, but if you look at the sum of the parts, it kind of works out in a kind of a cool place. So I liked it. It's not for everyone. It's a drama, a character drama or whatever. There's no action scenes. There's nobody gets lit on fire, which I thought was a bummer. I'd like to make a romantic movie one day that's totally serious, and then right in the last minute, just someone walks through the frame on fire.
It just makes everybody upset.
What, the fire?
Changing the genres on people. One of those books that I was reading, it starts out, it's an adventure story in outer space, and you get the captain who's getting to be really good friends with the one girl, and you can see that they're the romantic adventuring couple, kind of deal. And then it switches halfway through the book and it goes straight full on zombie horror and kills everybody that you started liking in the first 3 chapters. That was one of those books I quit reading. I was like, screw you.
They did that, did they?
Yeah, you can't betray the reader's feelings like that by tricking them into reading your horror book when it was advertised as a space adventure.
So there's a couple times I've been watching. I don't think I've read a book that had such a sharp left turn in it, but I remember seeing a couple movies. One of them was From Dusk Till Dawn, that has a pretty sharp left turn. But the 2 genres that movie is based in, if you're a fan of the one genre, which is like that really
exactly
kind of like horrific crime, you'd be a fan of the other genre too, which is a vampire gore horror.
And it would work out.
It would work out.
Yeah. But you can't go straight from romantic comedy to zombie murdering spree.
Well, another movie
easily, right?
that I thought was that's a weird one, like a romantic comedy to Zombieland wasn't really a romantic comedy. It was like, the guy had a girlfriend for all of 5 minutes in the movie until he had to kill her. I'm just trying to think.
There's always foreshadowing in those movies to let you know that's going to happen.
Well, yeah, right? That's the thing. You're not tricked into reading one thing and then you get another. Sunshine was, I think, an example of this. Have you seen that movie?
Mm-hmm.
That's an example, kind of like your book there, where you're watching like this movie about these guys who got to go and do this very technical, sciencey kind of mission with a nuclear bomb. Sort of hard sci-fi-ish, and then all of a sudden it turns into frickin' Halloween or some bullshit where some guy running around.
I kind of lost attention span and quit watching it at about that point. It was like, what are you good? What are you doing?
Yeah, it was, I don't know, like I like the movie. I've watched it a couple times. I think I own it on Blu-ray, but it just every time I've watched it, I'm like, this is fucked up. Like, there's no hint that this was going to be like this at all in the beginning. It's like you said, there's no foreshadowing of that. It's just all of a sudden it's a friggin' crazy.
Yeah, the audience in books and movies likes to be held by the hand and gently guided down the path. They don't want to be shoved down a well.
Well, you got to let them know that there's a well. Like, if you say, hey, there's a well over there, someone might go down it one day, and then you go down it, then I think people are okay with that. But if you're like, we're having a picnic in the meadow and a steamroller full of zombie trolls is rolling through here all of a sudden, when we've spent the whole book, just having a picnic in the meadow, I see how that could be kind of a shitstorm. What am I talking about?
Well, how about we wrap up at this point?
I think we should, Tim. I think we're going to try and do. Are you going to be able to find time to go see a movie this week?
I'm not sure.
I was playing with an experiment here in my brain, so maybe we'll in the off hours we'll talk about that later. But for all intents and purposes, I guess it's been a slice, man,
Or a spice.
Oh,
Maybe it's been a spice.
I heard that didn't go over so well. I got
Well, this time it'll
face-bombed
just
for that.
confuse somebody.
Yeah,
Okay. It's been a slice.
Well, we're into this vertical gardening, and that is a spice.
That's true. It's been a
Spicy
vertical
slice.
garden full of spice.
We're not winning any friends, man. Until next time.
Yeah. Until next time.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.